Okay. All right, here we go, boys. So, a hypothesis test is statistically proving something likely to happen to a certain degree of confidence. There are always two hypotheses to consider when discussing a statistical hypothesis. That's the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. And either of these may be the claim. You're just going to have to run with me for a bit here, and then I'm going to explain it further on. H sub O represents the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis is the hypothesis with an equals in it. Or it could be a less than or equal to, or a greater than or equal to, but it definitely has an equals to. H sub A is the alternative hypothesis. And this is the hypothesis with, it could be not equals to, or less than, or greater than, but notice there are no equals in there. And that is literally the rule. It's just no equals or no equals. So here are the options. Yes, I do realize that this says ho and ha. Hilarious. Ho's and ha's. Okay, so there are three options. The first option is mu is equal to a number. And what's the opposite of mu being equal to a number? Like if I said the mean, I think that the mean will be 3. What would prove me wrong? Mm-hmm. So the opposite of that is that it doesn't equal that number. And it's not greater than or less than, it's just not that number. This one, it could be less than or equal to a number. What's the opposite of that?
Greater than or equal to?
Nope,
No, or just less than.
just greater than.
Trust
Like if I said, I predict that the average grade point average at this school is less than or equal to 3.0, then to prove me wrong, you'd have to show me that it was greater than 3.0. Couldn't be equal to, because that was my guess. See what I mean? Okay, what's the one that's left?
Less than?
Well, it'd be less than down here.
Oh, yeah. If it's greater than equal to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so these are just keywords to look for. The hypothesis might say greater than or equal to. Nope. This one is greater than or equal to. It might say at least. Or it might say less than, or below, or fewer than. This one is greater than, or more, or above. This one is less than or equal to. What's the opposite of at least?
At most.
Okay, this one is equal to, or sometimes just the word is. Or exactly. This is not equal to, or isn't. Or sometimes they'll just say different from. So these are keywords to look for when you're talking about a hypothesis. And you have to identify which kind it is. Okay. We will get further into this today. But today I'm just teaching you the basics. So, university publicizes that the proportion of its students who graduate in 4 years is 82%. So we're supposed to identify the null and the alternative hypothesis. Now, I'm not going to write mu this time. How come? It's a proportion, so I'm just going to write p. It says that the proportion of students who graduate in 4 years is 82%. Is equals to, and that's an H sub O because the H sub O always has the equals to. And that's the claim, and the opposite of that is not equal to 82%. Now, I'm sure you're thinking that it must be pretty easy to prove that something isn't 82%. I mean, like, what if it was 82.1%? Is that 82%? No. But depending on your level of confidence, which is very similar to when you're doing like confidence intervals, it's like a window of acceptability, essentially, where you're like, look, if we're talking about you being 90% confident with this, if it's between this and this, I can say, yeah, it could be 82%. Like, it's reasonable that it's in there. A water faucet manufacturer announces that the mean flow rate of a certain type of faucet is less than 2.5 gallons per minute. Okay. H sub O, H sub A. Take me through it.
Use mu this time.
Mm-hmm.